Let's take a quick look at how a user might move a cloud flow via a solution from one environment to another. As you can see, I've started here at the Office portal by going to portal.office.com, and I'll now navigate over to the Maker portal for Power Apps. As you can see, I'm currently in the Contoso environment. In this tenant, the Contoso environment acts as my development environment. I would like to move a Power Automate cloud flow from the Contoso environment to my production environment, Production Apps. I'll start by going over to Flows to make sure that my flow exists and that it's ready to be added to a new solution. Remind users to enter timesheet information is the cloud flow that I'll be adding to my solution and moving into my production environment. I'll now navigate over to the Solutions section of the Maker portal. Here, all of my solutions for the Contoso environment are listed. I can see when they were created, their names, their display names, whether or not they've been checked by the solution checker, and whether or not they're managed externally, or, as the Common Data Services default solution, they're unmanaged. In our case, we need to create a new solution in order to move our cloud flow from one environment to another. I'll click the New Solution button. The blade on the right opens and allows me to create a new solution. I'll create a display name, and I'll call this solution Timesheet Reminder. I could create a new publisher for this solution, but in this case, I'm going to use the default publisher. Version settings are available as well. If I wanted to specify a particular version number, I could do that here. And references for how to do version numbers are available in the Microsoft document. More options are also available below. As you can see, the package type is unmanaged. That is because we're creating the solution in this environment, and we will need to edit the components of the solution before we export it to a different environment. Now that I've selected the various settings that I would like to use for my new solution, I'll click Create. My Timesheet Reminder solution has been created. It's now time to add some new components to the solution. As you can see, no components are found because it's a brand new solution, so there's nothing inside of it. We can change that by going up to Add Existing. From here, a variety of different components can be added to solutions. As you can see, there are many options. And in typical ALM, we would be including entities from the Dataverse tables, as well as other customizations that might enhance our solution. In this particular case, we're simply going to be adding a cloud flow. Having selected cloud flow, I can see flows that are part of existing solutions, as well as those which are outside of solutions, but available to be added to new ones. As you can see, our Remind Users to Enter Timesheet Information flow is available to be added to this solution. So I'll select that flow and click Add. Our flow has been added to the solution successfully. Now that we've added this flow to our solution, it's time for us to export the solution in preparation for importing to our production environment. First, I will publish all customizations. This button allows me to make changes to my solution inside the environment where the solution was created. If I were to add or remove actions from this cloud flow, I would need to publish my customizations prior to creating a new export file for the solution. In this case, no changes have been made, so I'm ready to go ahead and publish. All customizations were successfully published, so I'm now ready to export my solution. I'll click the Export button. Notice, if you have made changes to this solution that you'd like to export, publish them now. We've already done that, so we don't need to do that again. I could also run the solution through the solution checker to rule out any performance or stability issues. However, I'm quite confident that this cloud flow is in good shape, and I don't need to run the solution checker. It is highly recommended to run the solution checker for more complicated solutions with many components. I'll click the Next button. Because we're exporting the solution, our version number changed. As mentioned earlier, you can reference these version numbers and the order that they go in and what they all mean on the Microsoft Docs website. I'm going to export my solution as managed. I don't want people in my production environment making changes to the solution. If the solution is to be updated, it will be done in the development environment and then moved to the production environment after those changes have been published in the development environment. If I were to move my solution as unmanaged, users in the production environment might have access to make modifications to components within the solution, and that is not an ideal scenario. So, having selected Managed, I will click Export. A message appears that says the Timesheet Reminder solution is currently being exported. We'll wait patiently for this to complete, and then we'll move on to the next step. We can now see that a file has been downloaded. This is the solution package, the Timesheet Reminder 1001 Managed. This is the file that we'll be using when we import the solution into our other environment. So at this stage, we're clear to go ahead and go over to the production environment and prepare to import the solution. I'll select my production apps environment. I will then navigate to the solutions section of this environment. and I'll click the Import button. We are then asked to select the file to import. I'll browse and select the file that I just created. Verify that the file name is correct and what you expect to see, and then click Next. Some details about your solution will be shown to you. The publisher, the version, whether or not this is a patch, as well as the option to enable plugin steps and flows that are included in the solution. This is critical to have checked if your solution contains any desktop or Power Automate cloud flows. I'll then click the Import button. Again, we'll wait patiently while the solution is imported into the production environment. Solution Timesheet Reminder was imported successfully. As we can see, it now shows up in our list of solutions inside our production environment. Notice that the lock icon is showing as being locked because our solution is managed externally in our development environment. I'm going to go ahead and click on the Timesheet Reminder solution. Notice the message I get at the top. You cannot directly edit the components within a managed solution. This was the difference between managed and unmanaged when we exported our solution from the development environment. Had we selected unmanaged, these solution components would be editable. If I click on the display name for the cloud flow included in this solution, I'm taken over to view the flow directly. Please note that when you import a solution that contains a cloud flow into a new environment, that cloud flow is by default turned off. Make sure to turn that on in your new environment if you want that cloud flow to run.